Okay, now we're ready to look at the jacket for this costume. And I'm just looking at all the pieces, and I think, we know that they're, like, the back is made of two pieces. There's a side piece and a front. And here's the one of the front pieces.
Turn it the other way
the other way, sure.
Sorry.
Oh, no, of course. And it looks like this, and you're going to put a dart in so that it'll look like this. And let's turn it this way, sorry. So what I wanted to really kind of go over was this little side piece here.
Okay.
Because it looks like this. And it's like, what the heck is that? And now on the pattern, like here's A. So you're going to have letters, like, so you'll know where they go. But it's just such an odd looking little piece. And I do suggest, and I have to do it too, is lay out the pattern so that you know which side is which, and you have mirrored images of each of the pieces. So this would go over here. And this little guy,
it doesn't seem that it would fit into that spot.
No.
But it does.
And so this little guy goes in here, but this has to go in here.
Okay.
So, and you can see it sure did, but
sure did.
I'll just go over placing it
Okay.
on here. So have the corners match up.
We're showing them the most tricky parts,
These,
right?
yeah, something that might be interesting, maybe haven't done before, I don't know. So you have the corners matched up on one side, and then match up the corners.
Now, is this cut slightly on the bias, this
other
piece?
side. This isn't.
Okay.
It isn't. It's just cut straight. I think you need the straight. I think you need the tension in it.
Okay.
I think if it were bias, it would just kind of go. Yeah.
We would lose our shape.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Okay. Still doesn't look. They just have to work it in. See how I'm kind of working it in.
It's all working in.
It really does.
Yeah.
It does.
I would never think that piece would go there. So that's why we're showing them that.
Okay, I have to see where I am there.
Where you're sewing upside down.
Okay.
Or pinning upside down.
Pinning, yeah.
So you did your piece by hand, but they could use a machine for this, couldn't they?
Oh, yeah. I'm not a big machine person, so if I were brave, I could do it. I think so. I think you just have to keep it keep the tension on it so that it doesn't go out of place. I think there are people who are great with machines. I think they could probably do this whole thing with machine.
You just don't.
You
just don't like it.
I don't
like it.
Which isn't fair to say. I do have a featherweight, and I've only used it to see how it runs, and I have not used it, which is ridiculous. And
well, if somebody says, Denise, I need you to make 50 costumes, you'll be using.
And then I'll. Okay, so
there it is.
Yes, and you just sew down, quarter of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, whatever, and it does work, and you can see how the tension, and it'll fold up kind of like this, but at the end we're going to kind of lightly press this so that it stays folded up. Mm-hmm. Gives a little jaunty little tail to the jacket.
Very tailored look.
Yes, and. As far as the jacket, you could make it straighter by adding more fabric here.
And they'll have enough to do that.
And you could shorten it. You can have less of, you can do lots of different. You can make it longer.
Pattern.
Yes, you can make it longer over a plainer skirt in silk velvet. It would look very pretty. So, I just encourage it. Just play with it, do different things with it.
Absolutely.
I think once we have a pattern, we can do lots of different things.
So now, are we going to, before we go to the next step, are we going to baste all the edges?
Yes. That's what we do when we cut out the patterns. Is just baste the lining to the silk, flat line, all of the pieces.
Okie dokie.
Yes.
So we're going to move along to the next
We're
thing.
going to move along.
Okay, we'll get set up for that, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
We're back.
We're back. Often we need to attach bias strips together, so we make the best use of our fabric, the fabric we have. And I mean, it's done. It was done all the time. But we want to go over how to, and I think there are a couple of different ways. Some people do it with a diagonal, and this is just the way that I had learned it. So you place the two pieces one over the other and have a little bit sticking up and out like this. So it's not like this, but yeah, stick a little bit out. And then what we want to do is, here, I'll just stick a pin here first. We want it to go like this, right? Okay. So sometimes it helps to kind of put a pin in to show, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. This is the way I want it to be. So what I do is just pin it, and then I already know that I want it to go this way.
Okay.
I put it that way. I want it to go that way from here to here. So and then it's helpful to draw a little line so you keep it straight.
I mean, if you're doing 1860s and 70s clothes, this is a technique that you just have to use. There's no way to avoid it from trimming.
Right.
And they were even attaching trim in this manner in the 18th century. So it's a good little thing to know if you don't know.
Yeah. So we're going corner to corner, and this silk is pretty slippery. I'm just going to put a couple more pins in.
And this is on the bias.
On the bias.
Because it has to do amazing things.
And there are a couple of photographs in the instructions showing this very thing. So,
all right, we'll sew this up, and then we'll show you how it works when we get back.
Okay.
So Denise, I guess we're getting it together.
We're getting it together.
we're tying up our loose ends.
Our loose ends.
Sewing them up.
So I've pretty much across that line, and just to show, you just press that out, and nobody's the wiser as to the fact that you put a line there. Okay, and we want to move it this way. Okay, and I'm going to press it.
Now, literally, this join can go anywhere on the garment and look
it can.
And just
it
look
can.
fine. Or do we need to put some heat on that?
Oh, that's why?
That it works better with heat. It really does.
It is an iron, isn't it? Okay, so when you do press it, you see that there's just a very nice continuation of the bias. And obviously this bunch here, we're going to trim off. Okay. And, if there are any, kind of spots I don't like, we're going to be putting this on something that will end up looking kind of like that anyway, right? And then you hardly even see it when you're looking at the garment.
You don't.
I think there might be some on the skirt, but now I'm not finding it, of course.
No, we're not.
But
I don't
anyway,
think you would find it unless you spent some serious time looking for it.
I think no, that's just folded. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard
it's
to find.
Hard to find. So anyway, so that's how we'll do that. Now this
Now we have to press it to go on to the jacket. Right?
Well, yeah, but the way this is going to go all the way, well, you're going to have, these are
Obviously
the shoulders, you're
right.
going to have the sleeves in, okay. And it's just going to be sewn, I'll start here, sewn like this, excuse me, and let me just.
So we don't do any pressing yet.
No, you don't
First,
have to press
sew it
this
on.
one. Sew it on and press it over. And then we are going to.
Now I would, if I were doing it, I would probably press the one side over
Yes,
beforehand.
this. Oh, you mean press
the inner.
the inner one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like to do that. So then it just comes, it just folds in place. This is already done. This.
Yeah, that I
Pressing,
would
yes.
I would do it. I would be doing it.
And then it'll go over here, and it'll be sort of hem stitched down.
And then they have to do that.
And that'll be all the way
They have to do
around.
that around the
whole thing.
And that's why
which-
when you see this piece of fabric for this,
Oh,
it
why
looks a
it's-
lot
it's-
bigger than
it's so
you would
long.
need. But then that's going to give us the finish like
See,
this.
it's all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
And then here.
Super. So they're going to go and do that, aren't they?
They are.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that fun?
And it looks like you've used white thread in the inside.
I did.
So you really only have to catch. You should only catch
the lining.
The lining.
Yes.
And if you go through, you're going to have to remove the stitch.
Oh, here's the join.
Oh, there it is.
Right there.
Barely noticed it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So then
Okay.
we'll be set up and we'll be back.
Let's
for the
look
next
at, yeah,
move.
we're going to look at sleeves.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Denise,
Okay,
we're back.
we're going to take a look
what?
at the sleeves. And you have 4. There's these 2 of them are slightly rounded and 2 of them are slightly dipped like that. Not in an exaggerated way, but these are going to go together. The ones like this and like this. Okay, put them
Shouldn't
like that.
seem like they would, but they do.
But they do.
Okay.
And what you'll do first is sew this longer edge.
Okay.
So let's get it the right way. And you will
Do that
sew
first.
this longer curve first.
Okay. And you flat lined all the pieces.
I did, yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then when, well, it didn't do it. Okay, so when it'll be like this.
And you're going to open it up.
Open it up, press it, and then you're going to do the same. You have
Binding.
a bias strip. It's not, you can see it's not hemmed in the inside. You don't
there's
need
no
to do
need
that.
to do that.
And then sew it, fold it over, and then you can see, and then press it.
Okay.
What I didn't do on this sample, which you will do, is add lace when it's at this flat. When
It'll
it's
be
at
easier
the
to
flat,
do it, won't it?
Yes, just sew the lace across there. The lace is not gathered so much as it, every once in a while there's a little tuck. So it's not very frilly, but it's not straight either.
Yeah. Just very
Okay.
gentle.
Okay. So then when you've done that, you'll put it back and then sew the inside, turn it right side out, and then you'll have this. And press
And then it's ready
press
to
it
go
flat.
into the sleeve. Now, or would they do the cuff at the same now?
You can do either. It doesn't matter. Because it's just hanging from,
Right. It's like a faux cuff. It's not really.
and the sleeve will go in, and there it is on the pattern here. Bottom seam of sleeve placement.
That's it, people.
So
That's where it goes.
it's not going straight in like this.
Yeah, it's going
It's a little bit,
and that gives you your curve.
so it's a little bit like that.
And then do you put an easing stitch in it too, or should it just go
No,
right
it
in?
should go right in.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they've cut it out right.
It should go in.
And
But
there's
if-
seam allowances.
But you're right, though. If it doesn't, what you can do is do a little easing stitch, which is a little running stitch, and you're not gathering it, but you kind of pull.
It helps.
It does as you're putting. But the other thing too is, don't let the fabric be the boss of you. You mean, sometimes in sleeves you think, oh, it's not going to fit. You'd be surprised when you do this in the sleeve. How nicely it'll fit in there.
I don't know. I think fabric is the boss of all of us.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
fabric
It has a
runs
life
my
of
life.
It has a life of its own, I think, sometimes.
I mean, we're sitting here in all this Red Cross glory, and I look at all that gorgeous red silk, and I think, oh.
What can I do with that?
Oh, it's talking to me.
Okay. So obviously, look, a very, very plain sleeve. It's a sleeve. So what we're going to do is give it a nice, fancy
decoration
cuff. Okay.
Which is gorgeous.
Now the cuff isn't sewn flat. The cuff will be made. It will be, there'll be a seam back here, and then we'll put
Apply
it on.
it.
Yeah, we'll slip it up. It looks like it's all in one, but well, that's the magic of it all. Okay. So I can take these
and
out.
again, they follow the pleating in your patterns, similar to what we've already done.
So you get a pattern that will look like this.
And you would never think that was a cuff until you see it on.
And then again, like the bottom of the cuff,
same technique.
we're going to do the same thing here. And you can see, there it is. When you come around here, it can get pretty, bunch up like this. And I've just put a couple of little slits in here to ease it.
And there's no reason to finish off the inside.
No.
Because that's all going to be.
It's just going to lay on the sleeve. You don't see it.
And it does help give it a little more fluffiness, I think, too.
Yeah.
So this is very easy, but
it's very easy.
It's effective, isn't it?
Yes. And then we're just going to fold it.
I like to work, Denise, with like a pattern piece like that. I like to work with it in paper, folding it until I can do it in my sleep. And then I really don't even have to measure it anymore. I just can do it. Right.
And I didn't measure this exactly. You can see there's maybe, a quarter of an inch or so, on each of these from, the blue part.
They can do it however they like.
Yeah.
Because they're doing this. This is not this is couture. This is for one doll. So how each doll has its original dress.
Okay. This is going to be sewn down, and this is going to be left free.
And that's the top.
Yeah. I'm just looking at how this is. I think what I'm going to do, as we're talking about, I'm going to bring this in a little bit more.
We can do whatever we want.
I kind of liked how that was.
With this kind of box in the center. Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. And I made this 2 years ago, so I am having to. 2 years
is just like a second.
Kind of think, what did I do? I forget. No, it takes a little time, but it's not hard. And
we just fiddle with it, and they can do it any way they like.
I'm fiddling with it a lot here.
I mean, you could just do a little gathering stitch too.
You could.
Yes. You don't have to pleat it.
No.
But I like it pleated. got a very much an 18th century. And you know what, Denise, you could also take that cuff and flip it the other way, and it would have a wonderful 18th century.
Like,
Turn it just where this is down, and you could put that on another style of a garment. It'd be very...
oh, you mean this way?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
To make a
Okay.
alternate. Once you got the pattern, we can't stop you.
No, you can do whatever you want. Okay, let's just, and we can fiddle with this all day, I think, and make different, but anyway.
Combinations.
Yeah, so.
But I think that's the closest to the original right there.
And then, so just right, almost like we're talking about sewing in the ditch, kind of right above here. Sew these down just to keep them down, but don't sew the top down.
No, we want that fluffy.
And then this is going to be sewn just like this. You'll turn it inside out. It'll be, a little.
Well, we're going to sew it up and show them
little cuff.
how it looks.
And then it'll go on the sleeve.
Okay. We'll come back and show
Okay.
you the finished cuff.
We've now finished our sleeve cuff and slipped it on to the sleeve. So it was all pinned up. Before I put it on here, I did sew these pleats down so that I could work with them more easily. And then this just gets attached in the back. There's a back seam. And then it gets slipped onto the sleeve like this. And you match up this shorter curve seam with the seam of the cuff.
Looks like it's built in, but it's not.
No. And then it was all pinned. And then I sewed around right here in the ditch. If you can see those stitches.
I can. Good for you. I can't
Oh
see
dear,
them.
oh dear. All the way around, so yeah, just from seam to seam. And then I also sewed in the ditch here, from this fold, around to this one, so that it's all attached, it's all on there except for this.
Little accordion thing.
Little accordion. And
Which is lovely.
I did press that down pretty tight. And this is left free, as it is on the ruffles.
Perfect.
And then, as you can see, we're going to make some bows in a little bit and attach it right here.
But we skipped doing the lace, but they should do
I
the
did
lace.
skip doing the lace. That you do when it's flat. It's easy to
It's
put. It's
very
easy to
easy,
put on
so we
when
don't
you
need to
when
show
you do
that.
this trim.
Yeah.
Yes, I did skip that. And so the next thing we're going to do is okay. Oh, here it is. Put the sleeve into the armhole.
All right, that should be fairly easy.
So-
it looks like it fits right in perfectly.
Yeah. And then here's the pattern piece, and here's the placement. Now I have this, it's the left side of her jacket, and this is the right side, so I just made a mark on this side. And we'll just allow for the seam, and then we're going to put this seam right here.
So you're marking
There,
the actual garment.
yeah.
Okay.
You can pin it or mark it, and I thought it might be easier to see. So, actually,
And it's important to get these exact because you don't want one sleeve going
One
one
sleeve
way.
going
and
one way, right.
One the other.
right.
All right, so we'll sew that in and we will be back.
Okay. All right, we've set in the sleeve, and it went right in.
It's a beautiful fit, Denise.
And thank you. And as you can see, the sleeve is skewed a little bit upwards. Here's the let me get it. Here's the side seam of the jacket, and then here's the
And you followed
curve
that
here.
placement.
So
And
that
I
it's,
went in without any easing issues.
no, it just went in. Yeah.
And so you did you overcast the seam, or
Well,
did you do that later?
I should overcast this.
Yeah.
I would overcast if I were finishing this. I would overcast every seam, so you can see that
Yeah, it
these
gives
were
it
not
strength.
done because I'm just trying to make little samples
Okay.
for you. But no, everything would be
Demonstrations.
let's see. Did I do? Yeah, I mean you just
Just go in and
yeah. You see, I've written in here because I was doing instructions. But,
Yeah, it's a sample
it's,
too.
It's yeah. So yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
then, I guess
see,
we're
what
at
do
the
we-
point of
I think
the bows.
bows.
Okay.
I think that. Oh no, we're not. Silly me.
Oh, the collar.
I think this is. I think I didn't want to think about it because this is the hardest part.
Is it the hardest part? Really?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Won't lie.
All right. So we will get the pieces prepared, and we'll come back
Okay.
and play with the collar.
Okay. All right, we're almost finished with the jacket, and we need to do this nice little pleated collar back here. Little
Which is
stand-up,
stunning.
collar.
It's gorgeous.
And it's not hard to pleat it. It's a little fiddly maybe to place it. So I didn't have to recreate a whole new jacket. I've taken this half of it down, and then I'll show you how this goes.
Okay.
So first, to make it, so you've got two pieces of silk, the light and the darker silk, and the darker silk is narrower than the light. You're going to put them edge to edge. You can see that the dark one is not as wide, and then you're going to flip the light part over like this.
Okay.
Okay, and then it comes to, it's
And
almost,
so the
it's
dark,
almost
the
even.
dark is the outside of the collar.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then you want to make the fold.
So when you is this even now, the light and dark?
It's pretty much even.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you get your that little trim on the edge.
Right. Now I just want to show in the instructions, I've tried to. I wanted to figure out some way to do this on a large scale to show how it's folded. And this is just a piece of felt that I folded.
But
I
works
think
very good.
hopefully you'll be able to follow this little convoluted, but it isn't hard once you. Well, I'll show you.
And again, practice with a piece of felt or a piece of
just
paper.
keep doing it.
Until you get it.
Right.
Because it's hard to, when you see that, it's hard to imagine that becomes the collar.
Right.
Okay.
So I found this center part of this whole thing. And I'm going to fold. And I'm going to pin it because then I'll lose. And see, it's folded up like that. Into each other, into the center. And then it's folded again.
And those look
Right
like about a quarter of an inch?
Yeah, maybe a little bit bigger. Right on top of that other one, I'm going to do another pin. It's a little awkward here with all these pins, but, well, maybe I can take that one out here. And again, to the center, right over it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take this out. Okay. And then center.
Now, is this
again.
marked on their pattern? How to do this?
Let me here. Let's just go. It isn't really marked. Just I'm trying to show in photos.
Okay.
And I have this kind of convoluted thing too.
Okay. Okay.
Trying
that's
to
just-
show people
Yeah.
how it goes.
That works. Mhm.
So okay, and then over again and behind, all the way back to the back where you started.
Oh, fun.
So
this is, you're going to need you're going to need a thread puller to get in there and sew that.
Well, that would be, yeah. Okay. Where's that pin there?
To get through all
So
that.
anyway, okay, so you have this. And when we sew it on, it'll be sewn down here, right down here to the edge of the jacket, and then this will be free.
Oh,
We'll press it, but it will stay free. You don't sew that down.
Okay, fun. All right, so shall we sew that up and come back and
So
show
this,
them the next?
it will be, let me cut all these threads off. Where's the back of the collar? Okay. It will be like this, and then, see, this would have a trim on it. And then it'll get folded over and come down across the top of the jacket.
Okay.
In that way.
We'll sew it up and then
Yeah.
we'll show them that
Okay.
picture.
Okay, so we've sewn this little, we folded the top part of the collar, and I did press it pretty well, and I also just basted it down.
Just to hold it.
And we've got a raw edge here, but don't worry about it because we're going to cover that with a bow. But it'll come around like this, and then it'll turn
And it'll fold in.
and fold down like this.
Okay.
You can see like this. So we're going to do, we're just showing you how it basically goes. And then, when this is
When it's sewed
stitches
in
are
place.
taken out, it'll kind of flop open a little bit more. Okay.
And could you turn it around, Denise,
Yes,
to the back?
to the
so I
back,
can,
yes.
And take that piece off so we
Yes.
can see the finished one.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it's going to look when it's done.
And
then can I see the front
yes. So I took this one apart. When you flip it over this way, you're going to figure out how you want it to look on each side. And it's just, 3/8 of an inch or so away from
exposure, so we have that
right.
little
So there's a
blue
little bit
stripe.
of blue. And what I did was kind of pin it down and then carefully, because I wanted it to stay in place. I don't want it to move once I place it. So then I turn it back around here and then sew it down. And then you're just going
fiddly.
to, it is fiddly, but you can, where's the rest of the seam? You're just going to sew it down like this. And this is a raw edge right here.
And then
Just sew it down and
fold it
flip
back
it back over. And this bottom part, you'll fold under. And as far as how much to fold under, where you want it. And where I have it is kind of where the V comes together and there's a little hook right there. And you'll sew that down, and then I tacked it down here.
Okay.
So that you can see from this side, I
It's
just
gorgeous.
tacked it down a little bit so
And
that
I
it stays.
I love this.
I know, huh?
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. It's a very cool look.
All right.
Okay.
So I guess we'll move on to the next thing.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be back.
All right. We're now going to do the last part, which are the bows and the making of the bows. And you can see that she's got one in the front, two in the back of her jacket. There are two small ones on her cuffs and this nice big one on the back of her polonaise. And really, they're all done in the same way. There are a lot of ways of making bows, and a lot of us have our favorite ways. And this is the way that Victoria's dress was made. So I made them pretty much the same. The edges are raw. So the only place that
Which was a common way to do.
and it stays. It doesn't. This fabric is not. It's not going to fray. We're folding over a couple times up here, but the most part, the tails and such are raw, left raw.
Okay.
So let's see. What did I? Oh, okay. So we can start. These are all the same. This is going to be made in the same way. It just doesn't have tails.
Okay.
So, okay, so we have, and all the measurements will be in the instructions for cutting out all of these.
Okay.
So we're starting with the tails. And what I've just done with all of these is gather up about 3 pleats.
Okay.
And stitch them down. And the tails, we don't want them to be like this. We'd like them to be kind of like in a V. So
we can press them in that.
I'm going to press, yeah.
Okay. Let me move this.
Okay.
Our model.
Our model, poor little girl. Okay.
Practically Victoria.
Kind of, huh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've got that pressed down.
Look pretty already.
And then we've got the loop part. And I've done the same thing here and here. And you'll do it in the middle towards the ends of each of these ends. It's kind of slippery, but just like this. And then we'll sew it down. And it's not going to matter how pretty it is. You're not going to see this, any of these stitches. All right. And then we're going to bring this back, bring these edges back here, and tack them down. I didn't knot this, but I'll see what I...
Very easy way to make a bow.
Yeah.
And it's kind of retained its fluffiness too.
Right. You can press them if you like. So there's the bow part. And then we're going to sew it, where to go? Oh, here, to the tails. So we've just got the back of this and the back of this, and we're going to sew that together. So then you've got this.
Nice. Very pretty.
And then we have the bow center. And on this one, I've folded over and pressed 2 sides, 2 long sides. And on this side, I've folded this over just once and tacked it down. And then I folded it over the other, I can get it down the opposite direction on this side.
And that makes that really pretty little puffy.
And then we can take, this is the back, kind of put that around here, push it through here. And you know, you might want to futz around a little bit with it in the back, get it to where you want it to be. And then I just fold this part over and bring it back here. And then we'll sew that to that. So if you want it to be a little bit narrower, then take it in, tack it in, tack it in here. So you just do a little futzing with it. And then here's the bow. Now the next thing we'll do.
Can you turn it the other way so I can see it?
I'm sorry, here. I can't turn this wrist. There we go. And then the next thing I'll do is just kind of cut these a little like that. It's sticking on this there. So, and then you've got your little bow.
It's adorable. And then you can, when you apply it, you can manipulate it too.
See, yes, and I would take this back, tuck this back more. It takes a little bit of, futzing with it.
And then they just do that, 14 times.
Yeah.
I guess it is now just left to do the hat.
And the sleeve, the cuff bow, you just don't have the tails. This is the Polonaise bow, and it is the same, really the same way. Oh, you know what? I think what I did was I put the wrong center. So this center was a little big. It's for the Polonaise bow, but you get the same thing. Yeah. Okay. So, too many pieces. So these are two pieces that look like this, and about 3 3/4 inches or so from the top. Fold and press, and then take each one and kind of fold it.
This is the big bowl.
This is the big one.
But it's the same concept.
And then tack that down. Then you have this, and do the same with that. So you have two like this, and then tack them both together like this.
And then you got your bow.
And you got your bow. And then this part is the loop part, and I've gathered up about 3 folds in the center, same towards the back, and again you're going to put these back here, sew them together, and then again this one goes around here, and then you put them together.
Stunning.
So
and it does create a lot of interest on the back of the.
So I like this kind of idea here.
And then I noticed you have a little bit of fraying here. Do you just trim that off?
Sure, just trim it. Yeah.
Because we've been overhandling it.
This dress has been everywhere. It's been thrown around. It's been on and off dolls.
Yeah.
So yeah. And if you wanted to, if you have beautiful ribbon at home, you can use your beautiful ribbon. I mean,
But we were doing it as the original costume.
As they did it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Denise. We'll be back and we'll do the hat.
Okay. Our last step is making the hat, or as we like to call it, a chapeau. So the base of the hat, it's just a little, let's show it first. You might as well do that. It's just a little hat that balances on top of the head and comes forward onto the forehead just a little bit. It's a copy of one that I have that's an antique one. It's in brown instead of blue, but it's pretty much the same. And it's going to, we'll put it up here on her, kind of come like that.
Can you turn her a little this way?
Sure. Yeah, see your face.
Yeah, it really does finish off the costume, I think. I mean, that keeps everything in balance.
Everything in balance. Okay. So the base of the hat is a little sandwich of 2 layers of batiste with tarlatan in between. And what I did to make this was, put them together and then spritz them really well and press them, and it really has stuck. It really stays pretty well. Yeah. So I want to cut it out and then cut around just the outside of the
You know how you cut things. You leave the lines.
Oh, yeah. You don't leave I do. I know. Why?
Just depends on my mood.
Okay.
It Depends on my mood.
Well, I have to see it. I don't know.
Well, at this point in my life, I do a lot of things blind. I hope that...
Well, I know. We need more and more light all the time.
I went to the doctor and I said, you know, diabetes runs in my family and I'm afraid I'm having a problem with my eyesight. And he looked in my eyes and just said, "You're old."
Oh my God. Well,
Thank you so
tell me
much.
something I don't know.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So we have this little oval. Now, it's not that obvious, but this side is a little pointer, and this is going to be the front. This side is a little rounder, and that's going to be the
I
back.
think you can see that. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to, no, excuse me. First of all, we want to just overcast around this just to make sure that
it makes it easier.
It does make it easier in
No slippage.
yeah. So why don't I just do that
And we'll come
and
back.
then come back and then put this on.
Okie dokie.
That'll be good.
We'll be right back.
Okay, so I've overcast around the entire base of the hat, and now I'm going to add the millinery wire. And it's not, I didn't have it so that you sew it right to the edge like this, but more you're going to almost cover it a little bit. Not
Oh, you're using...
I'm taking...
You're kind of wrapping it around it.
Yeah, a little
slightly.
bit. I'm taking some of this edge in here.
Which will make a nice shape,
Comes,
I think.
whoops, over. To me, it's more secure than hanging it off the edge,
Yeah,
I guess.
you can
Just, yeah, for me.
Start to...
So you can
lose a
see where
little.
I'm placing it, just a little bit in from the edge.
Perfect. And once you have these wires into a chapeau, you can
Oh, yeah.
do so much with them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I just started with, I just bent it a little bit to kind of shape it there to start.
And it's a nice millinery wire.
Right, I can't remember where I got it, but I do like it. It's a little tight, more tightly wound, I think, or something.
And it's cotton.
Than what I'm used to, yeah. And when you cut it, it cuts evenly. It doesn't have all the fraying stuff. So, yeah.
All right, well, we'll get this sewn on, and we will come back and show you the next step.
We'll be back. Now we're going to apply the tulle to the top of our little chapeau. And I've already started one side, and I just folded, made a few little pleats, and started at this end. You can start at either end and tack that down. And now I've done the same. I'm doing the same up at this end. So I'll just put a few little stitches in here to hold it down. And this, the tool that, if you're making other hats, you can make them flat or very puffy.
Yeah, I like fluffiness because you can use that to
However,
tuck your flora and fauna in.
Yep. Okay. And then let's just take this. And then on the side, I've just tucked it in like this. And I'm just going to go around. And
It's a square piece. And
it is square,
and
so
we're
I'm just tucking it in like this. And I'm going to tack it down the same way. And on the other side. And then you do have some poofiness up in the middle.
I like that.
Yeah.
That looks great. So we'll sew that on and we'll
Do
come
that.
back.
Okay. Okay, we've put on this little tulle on top.
Looks darling.
And it is a little puffy, and I don't want to lose this. I kind of like the way
like
it's
that.
going. So I did spritz a little. I don't know if our Our iron might be a little warm. It doesn't have to be, but I just kind of do a little bit like that. Okay, there.
Pat it down.
All right. And it's just what I like to do, but yeah. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is put a little binding around. Now it's, and I've used this. This is what is it? Single fold bias tape. I think it's single fold bias tape, and it's already biased, so that's nice. And then I fold it, I press it out, and then just fold over these little.
Okay.
So it's like this, and then we're going to.
Well, in the camera, it looks like it's silk, but it's
It
not.
could be. You can use a piece of silk easily.
But it blends in like it is silk. So, and this will be a lot easier. You won't have slippage.
Well, that's true, or puckering kind of. So I'm just slipping it right through. I start at the back. And then I'm going to stab stitch this.
Okay.
And I just kind of, keep an eye in the back to make sure that I'm catching both edges. And this will just fold right around.
I usually, when I do this, I do it very slow going so that.
Well, yes,
because it's.
And I can feel it with my finger back here, and that's not a fast stitch at all.
You just do it slow and make sure you catch it, because it's the one thing that will come off the doll and people will say, oh, let me have a look at that.
Right.
So you want to show your
That's true.
your best.
That's true.
And everybody loves hats.
Hats and shoes, yes.
Hats and shoes.
But hats, yeah, and bonnets, hats.
Well, we'll get this sewn up and we'll come back and show them the finished binding.
Okay. Now we're going to apply the straw trim to.
Oh wait, but you got to show us what did you do?
Oh, what I did before this.
We got to see it.
I sewed this little
It looks really nice.
binding on, and when I got to the edge, the end, I folded it under, tucked it under, and sewed it down.
Okay, it looks good.
And I did press it a little bit.
Okay, it looks great. Looks like a football.
It does. So now we have a little straw to put around right there at the edge of that. And to make this little ripply effect, I just took one of the little strings in here from the center. It's not from the top. The top, when you draw that, will kind of start to make it curve. Around.
Yeah, for hat making.
Right. And then this is just pulled and made into a little like rickrack.
Darling.
I mean, this kind of thing, you can make it as tight as you want or as loose, but I think this is pretty good. So I'm going to start, and you could glue this very easily.
You could glue that.
Yes.
But you're going to sew it.
Well, I did.
Because you're old school.
Well, not really, because I wanted to look, I love to glue.
French
So I
hand
thought-
gluing.
Exactly. So I thought, no, let's just sew it, and then nobody can criticize, right?
Well, our
But anyway.
late friend, the late great Lucy Morgan, we asked her for advice, and she said, my advice to you is learn to glue. And you could take that as life advice.
So learn to glue.
Learn to glue. You're going to be gluing the rest of your life. Gluing your emotions together, your
Okay.
finances together, your
Yeah.
hats. So you're going kind of in a little bit of a ditch, aren't you?
Yes.
So it's
I'm
right.
trying to put it right there.
And you're doing a stab stitch.
Right. Because I can't pick this up.
Yeah.
And do running.
Okay, so we'll sew that on and we'll come back and show the finished step or the next step.
The next step. we've placed the straw trim around, and I sewed it, I did tack it on. You can see the white thread through here, but we're going to put lace here later. So everything that you do can be covered up by something else, it seems. And then at the
It's
end,
layers.
it is layers. And at the end, I had a little bit of the fraying from the straw edges. So I put a little bit of this glue, this white glue called Weehaw glue, and you can get it here. And it dries in a second, and it's perfect, and it's also pliable. So there we go.
So
we finished
the
that.
next thing, I guess we have to do the lace on the inside.
Lace on the inside
Okay.
around here.
All right. Well, we will be back.
Our next step in decorating the chapeau is putting on some lace to the underside. And what we're doing again is hiding our sins under here. and this is just this in itself is, I think, a good exercise in hiding. And then you come up with something that looks good from all sides.
Yeah, and it gives a little extra feature, doesn't it?
Yes. So I think we were doing that. I said that with the trim on the neckline of the jacket and the cuffs, or the bottom of the sleeves, that the lace is just gathered here and there, not fully gathered, and it's not straight. And so it makes sense to gather this a little bit so that we can go around the curve. And so just the way I do it, I try to put the heading, is that what we're calling it, of
Yes.
the lace, kind of right at the edge of the blue trim. And see, I've just tucked it a little bit here.
There's no diagram for this. You just do it.
Right. And you can have, use your imagination with this.
And if they like to pull the threads to ruffle it,
You can do
They
that.
can do that.
You can do that.
I mean, I do that sometimes, but a lot of times I do just what you're doing, just little.
Yeah, I didn't want it too ruffly. And now I can't do anything at all because you're watching me.
I've been watching you for a long time.
Let's see.
So you're taking pretty nice size. You
Little-
don't have to do
yeah,
teeny
not teeny,
stitches
teeny.
with this.
And you can, because
Pull it.
the it's so pliable with the wire in it, you can give yourself a little extra room.
And if you hear sound effects in the background, that's David shipping out orders.
Yep.
The show must go
Well, the
on.
machine is always running.
That's right. All right, shall we finish this up and we'll come back
Okay.
for the next step.
Okay. We're almost there. And now we're going to create the bow, and then we'll decorate on top with flowers. And we have a pile of different things that you can choose from to decorate. I've decorated very simply. The antique one was very simple, but you can do whatever you like. So first we're going to do the bow that hangs from the back.
Should we talk about the lace, finished lace, and show
Oh,
them
finished
that?
lace?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. And what I did was, like I always do, just kind of
Yeah, it just gives it a more antique-y look, huh?
that down. So you've got some, and this hat is a little bit bigger than the sample one, than the
Than the-
finished
yeah.
one, yeah. But it's all the same idea. Okay, so for the bow, first you've got a long piece that will be the tails, and find kind of the center here, and then we're just going to press this center. Like that, and that'll be the tails. And then there are two smaller pieces that you just attach at the back. They're overlapping 1/4 of an inch or so, maybe a little bit more. And then just find the center, the back little tacking is in the center of both of them. And then make a little X.
Gives a
I don't
nice
know if you
look.
can see that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We can see it.
Okay, and then tack that in the center. I'm not worrying about knots and things. It's going to be covered. Oop. I think I caught that. It's because we're on camera. My instinct is to say, can you go away for a minute?
Oh no, they need to know that that you struggle too.
You have no idea sometimes the struggle. The struggle is real.
That's right.
It's real. Okay. It's also blue on blue, which is
Oh yes.
almost as
It's kinda
bad
like
as
my
black on black.
black on black is my favorite.
Okay, I'm not going to cut this. I don't think I need to cut
Yeah,
this yet.
because you could use it again.
Right.
couldn't you?
And then we're going to attach the back of this to the folded over spot here.
And they have instructions on this in there.
Yes, and there are pictures. I like to do pictures. So.
Well, we've learned that when you do classes, you have visual learners, you have
Yes.
the written word learner, you have the
Oral.
all of the above, oral, yeah. There's no one way.
Right.
And boy, doesn't it help understand people in other areas once you kind of teach?
Oh, yeah.
That looks really pretty.
Yeah. Okay, so you have this little short piece, about 1 1/4 inches. And so let's take it back here. I'm going to sew this little
You're stitching it to the back.
little
now.
little end down. See, I'm catching these loops. There we go. Okay. And then we want it to go, here's, I want to get it in camera, around here, through the loops, and to the back. And there the little guy is in the back.
And you're going to stitch it in place?
Yes. I was folding it over. And then just look at it from the front. You can make it tighter if you like, and sometimes I like to kind of pull this little top part up. And here's the bottom part.
There we go.
There we go. There's a little, cut off this little knot here.
And it looks like you can use that same thread to just apply
And then
it,
sew it to the back. Here's our back.
which is kind of the rounder spot.
And just put it, put it right here. It's the rounder spot, and it's where I ended these trims.
Your joins.
Yeah.
So it's going to cover that. Yours is very
Everything-
neat.
everything
But
covers.
if it wasn't neat, this would really
Help.
help. All right, we'll get this sewn on, and we'll come back and show the final step.
Okay. Okay, now this is the final part. We're going to put the finishing touches on the hat, which includes some flowers and little stamens and things like that. Now, I'm giving you a bunch of things to just choose from.
So this will be in their kit?
Yes. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
It can be whatever you like.
And they
then,
can use it on something else,
Sure,
too.
sure. So, yeah, I mean, and you could glue this down or sew it. So just for instance, I put these little flowers, I put them kind of up front here. So they're showing there. And a little leaf here. This big flower, or maybe I'll put these in next. These little red stamens, I think it's cute to put a little pop of red in there. I might be going to town a little too much, but this is the fun part. Put them in, take them out, see what you like. They've got this little rose right here. So.
Or they can use it plain.
You can, yes, you don't have to. No. You could, I don't know, put, something like.
That's a fun little piece.
These
Those leaves are wonderful too.
Little leaves.
With just one flower.
And one flower. Or a couple of little ones around.
It's unlimited. There's about 1 billion combinations they could do.
Yes.
All right, so shall we sew them on and come back and show them the final reveal?
Great, okay. We're done.
Yay!
We want to show you how she looks all put together. I decorated the hat, and there's a little hat pin that will come.
Oh, pretty.
And stick that in there, and she's done. I like the way this just automatically folds. You really don't have to do anything with that. And the lace is it's a 1/2-inch lace, but it kind of helps to cover up this little
bodies
opening. And we were talking about remaking into different shapes, the jacket or the skirt. And this you could bring up closer so that there's more around it, and it maybe attaches up here.
Or they could put a false front in there too.
False front. This doesn't have to be like this. You could make it straighter.
And they're going to get a big, huge pattern with a lot of pages, so they can have a lot of...
Oh, yes. So, first of all, we have a couple of full-size pictures to take a look at. The front one, of course, here, and then this one again. And you can see placement of some of the bows and how this drapes and where it fits on here. And I do try to I've got some try to put in some pictures that hopefully will explain.
And I was thinking about this last night, Denise, showing where the trim making. Right here. They could stack another piece of
you could double
this,
it.
and you could double it.
You could double it, yes.
Yeah, so you could make a lot of interesting
You could make
trims.
one this size and one wider so that it sticks up behind it.
Be very easy to do.
Yep.
So
And
there's a lot of good info in this.
yes, the bow making. Here's the back. And then, okay, making the hat. Let's see. And there are pages of all the sizes of the ruffle
So they'll
trims.
get it all.
And a lot of this is inside here, but then it's out here too. So some of the trims, cutting the bows. And here's, I think there are enough pictures in here.
I think we got this covered.
And then here are the patterns. And you can see where, this is, you'll have to cut out the bottom and put it here and tape it here.
They're used to that with ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're used to it with what we
And
do.
let's see. And there's a lot of that. It's a much bigger pattern than
normal.
Yes. So this is pleating the neckline and trim. And then,
but
so
we've showed
however
them
makes
too.
sense to you.
They've got video, they've got pattern, and they've got the written word. So
And then this
we
is
got the threes covered.
yeah, and then the jacket. There's the hat. There's the jacket. So hopefully,
Well, Denise, thank you so much for
You're
teaching
welcome.
everybody
This is
on World
interesting.
All Day, and we're looking forward to seeing what people make when they post.
I'd love
them.
to see.
Yes, that's always fun, isn't it?
Yes, and I'd love to see if you do it in another fabric or
Oh,
a
yeah.
different way. That would be great to see
That's
too.
okay. Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome, and thank
Bye-bye,
you.
friends.
Bye-bye.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.